I'm critical of the president's presentation last night in the sense that it was the president just in the Oval Office talking direct into camera for 8 minutes. It was not riveting TV or anything, but at least it wasn't this horror show. So what's hilarious about what the Democrats did in response is that they should have just picked a random member of their caucus, just a random member of their caucus to give the response. Or they should have just ignored it. They should have just said, here's the president fulminating. He got himself into a problem with the government shutdown. Now he can't get out of the problem with the government shutdown. They should have just let him rant and then be done. Instead, because senators and congresspeople, because they love the cameras, I mean, they are camera hogs like nobody's business. And these are the people who go to church with a selfie stick. I mean, these are folks who just love being on camera. It is their favorite thing in the world. The sad part, though, is that as much as they love the camera, it is an unrequited love. The camera does not love them. And that is obviously true for Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. They couldn't even decide which one of them would give the response. So they decided to give it jointly. And wow. So Schumer and Pelosi are standing directly next to each other, flanked by a bunch of flags in the background. And it is just a horrifying look. It's just a horrifying look. People on Twitter were going nuts over this look yesterday because, number one, their makeup is just terrible. So we have a makeup artist who works here at Daily Wire named Jess, and Jess is very good at makeup. It makes me look more natural. That's what makeup is supposed to do. It's supposed to make you look more natural on camera. They look like, Pelosi and Schumer look like members of the undead. I mean, they honest to God look like when you go to a funeral and it's an open casket funeral, and then people say, you know, how does the person in the coffin look? You say, oh, they look like they're sleeping. They look like they're alive. That's what this makeup looks like. This makeup looks like they look like they're alive, but you actually know they're dead, right? It looks like Madame Tussauds wax museum come to life. And Chuck Schumer standing there glaring like Sam the Eagle from the Muppets into the camera, while Nancy Pelosi looking like that bizarre creature in Return of the Jedi who like sits there and laughs next to Jabba the Hutt. I mean, that is the juxtaposition. It's wild. So people were going crazy on Twitter last night with the memes of this particular image because it wasn't like both of them needed to be there. Like one spoke for 2.5 minutes, then the other spoke for 2.5 minutes. We'll get to the content of what they said in just a second. But the memes were things like what your parents look like when you come home at 3 o'clock in the morning. Right? They look like they look like American Gothic Nouveau. Right? You know, the painting of the farmer and his wife glaring at the painter? That is what they look like. They look like, I mean, Chuck Schumer throughout this whole thing, Nancy Pelosi was like the annoying person who's saying that at a restaurant she wants to speak to the manager and the husband's kind of sitting there glaring because he doesn't want to be there. That's basically what this was. They look like Rhett and Kitty Foreman from that 70s show. I mean, the memes were just spectacular. They are this is when you, there are some folks tweeting out things like, this is what your parents look like when you come home and you got a C in math. That really is, this is what it is. And they're standing there glaring at the camera and it's just hysterically funny.